Hey everybody, hope you guys are having a good weekend. So I wanted to talk about one of the most common reasons why people either aren't losing weight or one of the, not objections, but one of the things that, if you eat out a lot, it's not a big deal, but people worry about that when trying to lose weight or trying to maintain a calorie deficit. And so first things first, you can totally eat out a lot and still lose weight and hit your goals. It's not necessarily harder. You just have to be aware of everything at a restaurant. And so we'll kind of run through a pretend day of eating out and then also just some of my notes here. So first things first, if you guys are in a cut or a calorie deficit, it's very normal to underestimate how much you're eating. So from like February to this end of July, or actually probably August, I was in a slight calorie deficit to where, I was just eating like a couple hundred calories under my maintenance level and slowly dropping body fat. And so when you're doing those things, especially as you start to get hungrier, when you're consistently in that calorie deficit, it's very normal to be like, well, I ate probably a half a cookie, when in reality, it was 1.5 cookies. But in my tracker, I only put in that half a cookie. Or same thing, I'm like, oh, that was probably 4 ounces of protein, but it was really 8. And so the flip side is now, like, if you guys are going into some type of calorie surplus, now I got to do the opposite. That's what I'm personally focusing on for the next few months. But anyways, first things first, when you're eating out at a restaurant, typically they give us less protein with the serving and then more filler items. So it's like, rice, beans, tortilla chips, breads, pasta. So our protein serving is smaller than we actually think it is. And then a lot of our calories are coming from like those filler items. Secondly is, I didn't spell meat right. The meat, or AKA proteins, are usually fattier than stuff that we'd make at home. So like the chicken is usually a lot of times it's more like thigh meat, just because it's a little bit cheaper, or like the meats, or just like the steak or beef, I should say, is a little bit fattier. The other thing that everybody forgets about is the oils that your food is cooked in. So even if you get a quote unquote, like, cooked piece of chicken, usually there's some olive oil in there. So just adding that stuff in. We'll talk about home serving sizes in a second. The other thing too is the more you're eating out, the more you have to guess on how much food you had, what your serving size was, protein, carbs, and fats. And so just, the more you're doing that, you just have to be, on point with your guessing essentially. And like I said, it's not the end of the world. You just have to be consistent. Last thing is, if your food tracker is showing you that you're consistently in a calorie deficit, but you're not losing weight for like 2 or 3 weeks, you're eating more than you realize. So, I mean, there's that point of quote unquote physics to where, if it says let's say your maintenance level is 2000 and your food tracker is showing you're eating, 1700 for 3 weeks in a row, but nothing's changed, you're probably eating at that 2000 mark. You just don't realize it. So I have a couple different like examples of what eating out could look like, or a day of eating out, and also a weekend day. But essentially, I meant for this to be Cafe Rio, but I was trying to find like a chicken bowl. So I put in that I had a double chicken bowl. And so just that alone is, this is just one bowl without anything else there. But that alone is 815 calories, 60 grams of carbs. The fat is crazy because like this is chicken, so we think it should be very lean. 30 grams of fat. I'm a dude, like 175 pounds. My goal for fat for the day is only 65 grams. And so that would literally be half my day's fat in this one, quote unquote, healthy chicken bowl. Protein's awesome. Like it's 80 grams of protein there, quite a bit of sodium. I picked out another place, Cafe Rio. So like singular A, pork taco with rice and beans. Same thing. The calories, a little bit less, 873, a little bit more on the carbs, and that's just the rice and beans. Same thing though. I mean, 30 grams of fat for one pork taco, and the protein was good there as well. Same thing. It's very common to get some guacamole. So same thing. That's all fat. Not too bad though. Horchata, I just threw that in for fun because it's, especially on the weekends, it's normal for people to, get a soda or, like a tea or something like that. So just be aware. But for fun, if you guys are having that horchata, it's literally 450 calories, 85 grams of carbs. And then same thing, assume that this food was cooked in oil. So I'm just for fun putting in my tablespoon of olive oil, which is 120 calories. It's 14 grams of fat. So had I really had a chicken bowl with my taco and then it being cooked in oil, that would have been 75, or I lied, 85 grams of fat with that guacamole in just that meal. And that was 2,000 calories. Lunch, I just put that I had 2 tortillas. I like the Costco ones personally. They are flour. That's what I prefer, but same thing, 280 calories. I put in that I had 4 ounces of that sweet pork, and then my tablespoon of olive oil. So same thing, just my lunch there, 50 grams of fat. And so, if I was leaving out this olive oil, I would have an extra 200 calories and 30 grams of fat. And so just like I said, be aware of that stuff. The other one's like drinking. So same thing, margaritas. I like those, but they're very sugary, very high in calories. So if I just had one, because 9 ounces is about a normal margarita serving, it's about 300 calories. And then alcohol is its own macronutrient. We just count it as carbs, but just double check that in your tracker. Some do count the calories, some don't. And so, and then pizza, I figured that's another common one. So 2 slices, I'm sure a lot of you guys have more than that. Same thing, 500 calories. Supposedly it's only 12 grams of fat. But long story short, this is like, I think for most people, this isn't that out of line, especially on like a weekend day. It's like, okay, I ate some Chipotle, had a taco there, lunch, 2 tacos and 2 pieces of pizza. And you might feel like, oh, I didn't really do that bad. But assuming that's all I ate, that's still 3,500 calories, a boatload of fat. Like I said, pretty much triple what I'm shooting for on my fats, way over my carbs, and I'm under on my protein. And so I just want to share that with you. So like I said, if you're going to eat out, it's totally okay. Just really do your best of guessing there. Don't forget the oils. And then the other thing is, so obviously you probably don't have a food scale when you're at a restaurant. So if you see them put on a scoop of your sweet pork, obviously I'm on a pork kick, but if you see them put on a scoop of your sweet pork, and if you're at home, you're like, that's probably 4 ounces, just put in 4 ounces. Even them, they're supposed to have their standards and procedures on like what a serving size is. So if you go to like McDonald's website and ask like, how many calories are in a small French fry? Even when the kid's serving them there, it might be a little bit more one day, it might be a little bit less one day. And so there's always going to be that small margin of error. Same thing though, if they put on a scoop of rice, be like, well, if I was at home, that's about 1 cup, put in your 1 cup there. And so if you guys are in a deficit though, always overestimate. So if you think it was like a cup of rice, put in 1.5. If you think you had 1 tablespoon of olive oil, put in 2. And so it's just going to help you keep you on track and then get you to your goals faster. But let me know if you guys have any questions. Hope that helps. Have a good night.